Like GDC's conference is, it's got like these summits and tutorials for the first 2 days, and then like the main conference is Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday is like the student day. And kind of the trick is everybody leaves who is an actual game developer like early Friday, because all the students and everybody else shows up on that Friday, and it's just the quality of the people surrounding you drops to, you know, nastiness, and you don't want to be there. And I wish it wasn't like that, but like the college I went to, DigiPen, there is what you would call the Digiplague and the Digifunk. And the Digiplague was whenever anybody who didn't go to DigiPen went to DigiPen to like visit or something, they would always get the Digiplague, which is you would get horribly sick for some goddamn reason. And the Digifunk was just everybody who went to DigiPen smelled a certain special way. And that's how it goes. Like, there's always that one guy who ruins everything. So let's start implementing some of these things. So, kicking user, get user by ID. Reason voted to be kicked. Like, I have distinct memories of in college. Freshman year is where pretty much everybody washed out who shouldn't have been there. And a lot of the classes were pretty packed the first couple of years. And there was a group of people, and I don't know if those people still, I mean, those people types exist, but I don't know if these people types still exist in college. But they're the type that wore those big dog shirts. Like, you know, the big dog shirts that are like, you know, yeah, exactly. There are these just basically gigantic fat asses who think they're cool, and kind of they when they grow up they become neckbeards who wear fedoras and go to our incel and everything like that. But those guys in like a an auditorium that would seat 100, which would be packed with 100, even if they picked the front row, there'd be nobody sitting next to them because they just smelled so bad. Also, they were pushovers. Like, there was one time I got to class early and, you know, got a good spot, and, you know, somebody came in and was wearing a big dog shirt, and he's like, hey, you need to move. And, you know, this guy's pretty big in terms of, you know, weight. Like, but I just told him to go screw himself. And he's like, you won't be saying that when my friends get here. It's just like, well, yeah, I'll be saying the same thing to your friends. So his friends show up, and there's like 4 or 5 of these dudes all wearing big dog shirts, and just the funniest thing, he's like, well, this little bitch won't move. And I'm just like, yeah, I got here first, so you guys can do whatever the hell you want. And so his friends just go sit somewhere else and call him a big pussy. And I'm just like, it's just like, man, you guys are shitty friends. Like, Like, I understand, like, just being like, hey, man, we want to sit together. Could you move? And being nice and courteous about it. Like there is space or something. But it's just another thing to just completely turn your back on your friend and be like, oh, you didn't get us the seats, so you're a total bitch. It's just like, man, it's a rough crowd of people. It's like I guess that's why you don't want to be friends with them. All right, so that'll set the game over. Adding a bot. Let's see where we have add bot. Create bot is local player server RPC spawn bot. Target is so all this logic is on the player controller. Let's take a look at that. Is there any reason this needs to actually be on the player controller? I don't think so. So I need to pull this stuff off. Make a spawn bot and a remove bot function. Security turned a dude away for smelling bad? Oh man, that's rough. Well, it really depends on the conference. Like a lot of the more fan conferences, I would think like Comic Con and PAX and some of those that are more popular, probably. Eh, Probably, yeah, there's going to be more of that sort of stuff going on. But that would also be something that might turn your life around, right? Like, let's say you think you're hot shit and all that stuff, and you're one of those guys that or girls, I guess, who doesn't shower, and like to actually be turned away from a convention or something like that because you smell bad. Like you can't just say there's no reason they did that or they're just being jerks or something. Like oh, you guys just don't like me, or I'm just not popular or something. But I actually have like security deal with you. It's got to be if there are wake up calls in your life, that's going to be one of those big red flags that you might want to pay attention to. Alright, so let's see if this compiles nicely for us. If I need to do something else, I probably need to go to that player controller and add the level utils. That level utils are already there, so we're good to go. I'm starting to seriously wonder why. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely another level of gross when you're turned away from something like that. Especially if you paid money, you know. Like, dude, well, here's your money. Just get the fuck out of here. Yeah, it's another thing that a lot of that also has to do with the type of food that people have. Because if you're going to, you know, like a Dungeons and Dragons or like some sort of card match or something, Implatinum. No, it's a problem. I'm gonna grab our level actor and have our level actor have that botanum on it. Level actor, maybe not level actor, maybe game mode? Game state. Well, we already have the level actor right here, so might as well shove it on there. It's obviously too much work. It's obviously too much work. Activate for local bot player. This. Player proxy actor. Local player controller. Is bot is actually bot. I guess we could pass in null pointer. It should just be, shouldn't be using it, so null pointer. I mean, I would basically, at some point there, it's like at Amazon, we actually had the problem that people would not wash their damn hands, like after they use the restroom. Like, these are all grown ass people. Like they went through college and they got a job at a respectable company and they show up to work. They pay their taxes one leg at a time, just like everyone else, but they don't they don't wash their fucking hands. And it was such a big problem that they started putting hand sanitizer on every conference table, and they put little hand sanitizer things outside of the restroom. Stuff like that, But all that did was it made it so people wash their hands less. Like, I swear to God. Because what people would do is they wouldn't wash their hands and instead would just go out and, put a few squirts of hand sanitizer on and then go back to their desk. It's just... And also, management didn't, single out the one or two people who actually were the ones not washing their hands because it was real obvious what was going on. Like everybody knew who the people were who weren't washing their damn hands. And it was really clear that it was having an effect because certain areas of the studio would get sick all the time. And certain other areas wouldn't. Like, I was in the server engineer area, which was 3 people. And, we were kind of off to the side because we're server engineers. Nobody talks to us. Because, we make things that work. And there aren't many of us. So, we never got sick. Me and the 2 other guys were never ill. And the rest of the studio, which was open studio, would always just get sick. And swear to God, it's like, you guys are just... Do you understand? Anyway, so long story short, it's one of those things where I actually caught one of the guys, not washing his hands and, made the whole sarcastic, like, are you for real, dude? And, he came back and sheepishly washed his hands and, it's like, oh, I forgot. You're like... And, of course, then I went and told everybody that the dude didn't wash his hands because, fuck that guy. But it has to be something that you're just not in the habit of doing, right? Like, that it's kind of... You would have to stop yourself from doing that, right? Like, a normal person would pass by, the sink and be like, just their brain would automatically go, this is what I do when I pass by a sink after touching my junk. I wash hands. That's what happens with life. But it must, be the opposite of like, oh shit, I'm in a public situation, brain engage, pretend to be a normal functioning adult mode. So for major public, try not to touch. It's the same thing with like food safety. You're like, when's the last time I got food poisoning? You're like, I don't think I've ever had food poisoning from, something that I cooked. I mean, ever. And some people just don't get it. It's like that's like my brother. He just he'll leave food out overnight and then he'll just be like munching on it 2 days later, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, dude. That is gross. He's like, what? It's fine. I'm like, yeah, dude. And then he gets sick and blames other crap. And it's like, dude, no, it's because you ate those noodles that were out from 2 days ago. Like, you shouldn't fucking touch those. It's, the cheese used to be a different color. All right, so we need to call the. We just need to get the bot by ID or something. We just need to call spawn bot. All right. Just go pop open that thing. Well, that's one of those things. It's usually like a normal public restroom will actually be pretty clean in terms of somebody's job is to come by and nuke that place with more bleach than than you've ever used on anything in your entire life. So I'm not really too worried about that sort of stuff. It's everything else. Like there was one guy at EA who would always take his laptop into the restroom with him and be like, jamming on his laptop while he's on the toilet. And you're just like, at some point you need to hose that laptop off, dude. And you're like, well, of course that would never happen. We already have an add bot player? Dashkin game utils. Oh, that's different. That's different. We need to call spawn bot. You wipe your phone down. Yeah, it's another thing. People just take their phones into the restroom and don't think about it. That's also kind of a problem, So where is like a for loop for a certain number? It's like, is there a for loop for just a? Like, no, there's no for loop for this sort of thing, is there? Okay, it's just called for loop. All right. So first index is just going to be 0. Last index will be its bot number. Yeah, the other thing was at EA, there was the bathroom scooter, which would, one of those like shitty Razor scooters that people would take to the restroom. And there were like 3 or 4 people that used it, and you're just thinking to yourself like, I I get it. You're saving how much time traveling to the restroom by jumping on that scooter, but what are you trading for that freedom? That extra couple seconds of speed down the hallway. It's not like the handle's made of copper. All right. So what we want to do is remove a bot, and we're actually getting one by player ID, and just server RPC destroy bot. And server RPC destroy bot is just destroying the bot and destroying the player controller. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we want to, I guess in our level utils, no, our level actor, we've got the thing that goes through all of the player controllers. So let's get a vector of Dashkin player controller pointers, add all the bots to it, and then pick one. I guess these are player proxy actors. Yeah, and that'll remove a bot for us. Alright, let's make sure we got everything saved. Well, if that's something you want to do, then go for it. One of the conferences that I went to, I think it was last year? So it was the year before last year, it was 2016. The Steam Dev Days is always something. They don't have it every year, but whenever there's a Steam Dev Days, that's something you should definitely try to go to. Like, they don't even have another one scheduled. So, no Steam Dev Days 2017 and not likely for 2018. So, they don't do it all that often. And when they do, it's definitely high quality. When I went there, it was over in Seattle, and they had good food and good environment, good talks, and good locations. That was pretty awesome. F vector. Yeah, what the hell? It's not an F vector, it's a T array. What am I? Ugh. I'm losing my mind. I haven't been to any of those other conferences, just GDC and like Steam Dev Days. But the more focused ones, it seems like they're more worth their money and time. Because kind of as stuff gets bigger, it just gets more watered down and messed with, and too much stuff going on. It's kind of even at GDC, it's kind of too big for itself. Because some of the real reason to go to even GDC is, well, it's just people that are going to be there, and then you want to try to get into the different parties and events that are not part of GDC but alongside of it. Kind of like getting into whatever party is being thrown by whatever companies. And some parties are just trash. Like, if you ever go to a Yeti Zen party at GDC, just leave. They're not worth your time. But some of them are good. Like Blizzard always throws a party where you could actually talk to people. Like what an idea! You go to a conference and the party is not just like ridiculously loud music and tons of booze. It's like normal music with things that you can do. Like, there's like Blizzard will have Hearthstone on like some tablets, and you can go play that, or they got StarCraft on something, and you can go watch some people play, or something interesting going on, and the you can actually talk to people and have like a raffle and stuff like that. Like, those are good. Other ones where it's just they have just booth babes dancing on pedestals, and you're just like, you know what, this seems way too much like the bar in Mass Effect for this to be reality. I think one of my favorite events there was kind of after GDC parties was one where it was like a small, just one single bar, and they had just a couple arcade games like 4-player Pac-Man, stuff like that. Went hung out there and played Pac-Man with people, and like they had a big screen for it. It was like, yeah, this is perfect. And they also had, like, I know they had an IGF event one year. I went to, I think, the IGF party, and like there's also people who don't know how to throw an event for people. Because I think the IGF, at least that year I went, they did a horrible job. And what ended up happening was, normally what you need for a bunch of nerds and people who don't talk to talk to each other is you either need copious amounts of alcohol, or you need an activity that people can do together that start a conversation. Like a 4-player Pac-Man game, excellent. Anybody can walk up and start playing. They don't even have to talk to you. They can just kind of mess around. Or like having some air hockey tables or some foosball tables or some darts or just something for people to do. But they had none of that crap. Instead, just had like a bunch of single player games, and then like some kind of screens that had like indie games running on them or videos of them, and you just get a bunch of people in like a dark area just standing around not talking to each other. And they didn't have any booze at their party or something like that either. And it's just, I think everybody who went to it just like 10 minutes later left after talking to nobody else. It was just how to throw a party and spend a bunch of money and do the absolute worst job you possibly can. That's what they did. All right, so we got remove bot. So remove bot is going to just call level utils remove bot once. Remove bots is going to call that X times. And remove all bots. Let's just be super stupid here and just like remove 100 bots, because I mean, we could just remove 10 and just be like, alright, whatever, just remove all bots. You know, there's not going to be more than 20 bots, so fuck it, who gives a shit. Let me see. Yeah, we don't even have access to the player controllers. We'd have to get everything of a certain type and do some other stuff. Let's just cheat on the remove bots and just be stupid and just remove like 30 bots and just call it good. Decrease max players, increase max players, balance teams. Let's just call shuffle teams. To hell with it. It screws all sorts of stuff up, but whatever. How do you handle the efficiency when using blueprints? I ignore everything. This game doesn't really have too much in terms of efficiency bottlenecking that we have to worry about. We don't have massive numbers of agents. Like, we don't have 10,000 biteies running around. We don't have 10,000 balls. We're not firing hundreds or thousands of missiles and all that sort of crap. We're just hitting a couple balls around an arena, and the arena doesn't change much. So there really aren't too many performance bottlenecks we're going to run into besides navigation code and collision checks, and that's all in C++, so who gives a damn? So for us, we don't have to worry about it. If you're worried about your blueprint performance, though, you can always compile your blueprints into C++ code, and I don't think you're going to run into too much of a problem. If you're working in an area where you have a whole bunch of designers writing code and blueprints and you have performance problems, most of the time what you'll do is you kind of make a lot of those helpful functions out in C++ land, and blueprints will just call in there, and you have your engineers actually write that stuff properly. Alright, so for increasing players, allowed players, where is all that? Because I think it's in the game mode. So we need to get our game options. We need to call set game options on our game state. Yeah, okay, so it's set game options. And we have an on rep for that. Okay, so set game options should work. We have a get game options. So we need to grab our game state. Is there a get Dashkin game state? Yeah, there's a get Dashkin game state. Alright, so this is going to have to be greater than 1, I guess is what we should do. Actually, we should do greater than 2, and we should actually increment this twice. Or decrement it twice. And then we need to call set game options. So that'll make it from 3v3 to like 2v2. And we're not going to kick anybody because whatever. Let's not kick people from games for this. Okay, so is that everything implemented? So our voting is totally implemented from a C++ side and Blueprint side. Very good. Let's boot this up and make sure we can still spawn and remove bots. And then we don't crash all over the place when we do so. So we can add bots. Can we remove them? Alright, that appears to work properly. Let's create a dedicated server and make sure that we can actually remove bots from there as well. Oh man. So it looks like the weather around here for the next week is just all snow and rain, which is amazing. Because it's been like, we haven't had snow for a while. It's kind of a mild winter or whatever. Alright, so we can add and remove bots, and they're still adding and still removing. Excellent. So, if we've got all that finished, That's an excellent time to revert all of our unchanged files and check it in. Like, if we got everything, good job, Visio. Good job. Good job crashing. But if we got everything where it's supposed to be, let's make sure we check in a good point. So game options and voting, work in progress. Cool, so we got that working. And use Visual Assist? No, I don't use Visual Assist. Mainly because if you're working in C++ code, if you're relying on IntelliSense, I think you're doing it wrong. It's just, it's a crutch. And it's a crutch I don't want to start depending on. Anyway, I will be right back. Yeah, that was definitely one thing with working with people. There would be some people who just couldn't program without Visual Assist installed. Like, they'd be like, "Oh, you don't have the tomato installed," and I'm like, "No, I don't, because I don't rely on it." And they're just like, and then it's like you give them a Japanese keyboard or something. They just become completely incompetent. Because when I was working at a startup, Molten Games down there, because Visual Assist and other things, they cost money. So, if you're not able to, if you're not at a company that just, throws money out the door for startup costs like that, then you know, like maybe you don't have Incredibuild to begin with, and you don't have Visual Assist and other things. It was funny just to see people just get super just like, we have to have this. You have to spend another, you know, $200 per head for every engineer in the studio to have, you know, Visual Studio or something. And it's just, all right, so what I need to do is I need to create the vote UI and the voting system. So we need to go to the in-game screen. We're going to need the CSS, JavaScript, and the widgets, and then the HTML. So we're going to need our, so this will be in-game vote container. Do I already have like a vote container or something else like that? Yeah, in-game vote container. So let's make this in-game generic vote container. So what's this going to have? It's going to have a background to it. It's going to have a header. It's going to have a description and then a yes and a no button. And we're also going to have a like, how do we want this to pop up? Your players access a website? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Our UI. Our UI is all in WebKit. So we can develop all of our UI. Usually I do it in Chrome, and then, you know, it just works in game, and it's all served locally, so it's not like we're loading stuff over the internet. All right, so we'll have our voting dialog box. And so I think just like a yes, no, and then like a close. So we'll have a header. So this will be header, and we'll have contents. So we'll have contents. It's like we have a yes and a no, and then just a close. Maybe there should be an X for the close. So we'll just turn that into that sort of thing. So it'll be like vote blah started by player blah, Contents, player blah wants to vote to ban X. Yes, no. And we also want the results. So we're going to want... So I want the votes. So I want to know ayes and... Yeah, so it'll be like 4 against. And they'll have the no votes. So have the yes button, we'll have the no button. We need a countdown timer as well.